Welcome to the Grand Review. This is the show that's all about movie news and reviews. I'm your host, a man who has actually toppled over a bunch of oranges in a supermarket before, Garrett Ray. Joining me, as always, it's the man who's even cooler than a talking car. It's Andy Delia.
I hope so.
All right. Well, welcome to the show. Basically, what we do here is we do spoiler-free reviews right up front, and then we jump into spoilers, but don't worry, we'll let you know when we're getting into that, and there are time codes down in the description of the episode, and after we do the movie review, we're going to hop into some movie news and kind of just go over all that. So that's how it works. Yes. If you've not joined us before, welcome. And if you have joined us before, what's wrong with you? Why are you here? All right.
Thanks for coming back.
Yes, thank you so much. We appreciate all of the wonderful people who listen to the show. This week we are talking about a movie that is probably the first time it's the first time I've thought about jailbreaking in a long time, because I used to hack my iPhone and my iPod Touch. This is an interesting one. So this movie is Companion. So this was directed by a guy named Drew Hancock and written by him. It was produced by Zach Kreger, who was the director of Barbarian, I believe.
Yeah, that's a source for me.
And it stars Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid, along with Harvey, I'm going to butcher his last name, but Guillen, I think, Megan Suri, Lucas Gage, and J.D. Lifshitz. And Rupert Friend is also in there, and who I realized, I was like, where did I know the character of Sergei for? I'm like, I know his face. He was Agent 47 in the Agent 47 movie, which was terrible.
Which one was that?
It was the Hitman. It's the Hitman series. And they tried to do another one, and the first one was bad, and this one was also bad.
Yeah, I only saw the first one, and I didn't like. Video game movies are most of the time just garbage.
Most of the time, yeah, they're just terrible. I think Tomb Raider was like okay, not the Angelina Jolie one, but the Alicia Vikander one. I thought was okay, but it wasn't great. It was very by the numbers.
The Angelina Jolie, the second one that Angelina Jolie did, The Cradle of Life, that one I kind of liked. The first one I thought was kind of boring. Mm-hmm. The second one actually wasn't bad, but the Alicia Vikander, I didn't like that one either.
It fell apart real hard towards the end. They were trying to base it more off of the recent games that are more like Laura's, I guess, the genesis of her tomb raiding stuff. And the games actually do it really well, but
I like Alicia Vikander too, but I just didn't care for that movie.
Yeah, the movie was not great, but it wasn't as bad as Agent 47.
Or Doom. I've actually seen Doom. That movie's bad.
Doom real bad. Doom terrible.
Even Mortal Kombat is better than that.
Yeah.
And that's not saying much.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, Companion, this movie is, it's an interesting one. It's kind of marketed, I don't know, the first trailer kind of marketed it as a horror film, but then the second one leaned more into the dark comedy, which is, I think, much more representative of what the movie is.
I still think the ad campaign for this is a little off. I think it's misleading.
Yeah, I think so too. But we always start with your thoughts, Andy. So let's jump into your thoughts. What is your opinion on Companion?
I would good, borderline great.
Okay.
Like, I really like this. I thought it was an interesting story. Sophie Thatcher, awesome to watch.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that all the characters in this movie are horrible people that you want to see die.
Yeah.
So I thought the story was good. I thought it was well put together. It was way better than Barbarian. Barbarian, I still think is a mess. But this was, if anything, just for Sophie Thatcher. I really liked her performance in this. Yeah. And I even like her boyfriend,
Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid. I keep forgetting his name.
Yeah,
Jack
it's Dennis
Quaid.
Quaid's son.
Yeah, and he's not a bad actor, but he's a total jerk. And so is everybody that he's connected with, too, like the woman that plays Kat. And I guess that's a compliment to all of the actors and actresses because, like I said, you all want to see them die.
Yeah.
So they played their parts very well.
Absolutely. There's not a good one in the bunch. They're all like, oh, just get out of here. Just go die.
I told some people here at the theater this morning, I said, whatever you think that movie is, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, go see it and watch it. It's actually a lot better than it looks.
Yeah. I think the second trailer is more representative of what it is, but it is definitely like more... It leans more into the comedy side than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, it does. Well, because I sat there laughing a lot of it. And just because it was funny, and not that oh, what a horrible film this was, but
Right.
like it was actually funny.
Yeah, I thought it had some actually good comedic moments and was like it was playful in a way,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed that. Yeah, it's I will say I thought Jack Quaid was kind of flat in some places. I've seen him do performances where I believed it more. I don't know though if it's a blocking issue. There's moments where I'm like, he's delivering the line and he's standing on his mark, but like I feel like if he just had a little bit more blocking, if he could move, maybe he could sell it a little better. But I don't know. I'm being very nitpicky there, but I did a couple of times go like, I don't know. It seems like there should be more of this tonal shift, like when he's pretending to be on the phone with the cops and then.
See, I thought Kat was more flat than he was, and even Sergey, for that matter, was very one-dimensional.
Yeah, but Sergey's supposed to be. Like, he's just a pawn. You know,
this is almost kind of is like the setup for like the movie Clue,
kind of. Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah,
just a little bit more futuristic and a little bit more. Not provocative, I guess, is the best word.
Yeah, I think so. It definitely has a very specific tone to it that I haven't seen in a lot of movies in the last. Well, definitely since we've started this podcast. Like, it is irreverent without being
offensive.
Offensive, or what's the word I'm looking for? It's not so far gone as to start saying like, hey, we know we're in a movie. Like, you know, it's not doing that. It's not breaking the fourth wall. People are taking it seriously, but they're all unserious morons. And that's just their character rather than it being a way to be like, hey, we know you're watching a movie. You like the movie yet? Hey, look at us. We're acknowledging it. So it doesn't do anything dumb like that. I do think that it has a few small, just like, okay, that's all right. I guess that's one way out of that problem if you don't want to write something more interesting. I think it has a couple things like that. That being said, I liked this a lot. Yeah, it's a solid good for me. Sophie Thatcher, yeah, fantastic. I loved her performance.
Yeah, and she gets to live through this entire film too. Like,
good for her.
Heretic, she got killed off about halfway through.
Yeah. Well, yes and no, but she came back later for a moment.
Yeah,
and then she died for real. But
this one she actually stays through the entire movie.
But yeah, she's so much fun. I think she really commits to the part the whole way through and has this specific.
She's
it's like the deer in the headlights almost sort of thing, but without her being dumb. Like she's completely enamored with him, and she plays that really well without it being like cheesy. You know, and I
like
I
gushing. It's not over the top and gushing.
Yeah, you can tell she's experiencing it, not that she's trying to prove to everyone she feels it.
Right.
And I think that's a hard line to walk.
She's definitely one of the actresses that need to keep an eye on next couple of years. Like, she should start getting bigger roles. And I know this is a little bit bigger than Heretic was, since it's got New Line and Warner Brothers behind it, but I'm curious to see what the next thing she does after this is and how big of a scope it is.
Sophie, if you're listening, just don't pull a Sydney Sweeney. You know, keep making smart choices.
Yeah, please. Let's not forego gratuitous, just stupid stuff. And please, if you ever want to come on the podcast, we'd be more than happy to.
I'll set up a third mic. I'll set up 3 mics for you if that's what you want. I don't care how many mics you want. Well, I don't even have to have one. I'll just sit here and listen to you regale us with tales of being on set.
Working on Heretic and Companion.
Yeah. But no, it's a good. It's a good movie. It's definitely, I mean, not if you're easily offended, I don't think it's for you. There's a lot of language, a lot of
the R rating should kind of weed that out immediately.
You would think, but I know people.
Well, that's true. Common sense is not common anymore.
No, it is not. But that being said, yeah, I had fun with it. Like the plot was surprising for me in a couple places where I'm like, wait a second. Oh, okay.
Yeah. There was a couple of twists to the story that I didn't expect either.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in spoilers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I liked that because it was surprising and, you're kind of trying to figure out where it's going to go. And I think that the question of it's doing a couple of things. The first is that it's kind of touching on that, any technology that is sufficiently advanced is indistinguishable from magic, but in this case, it's like indistinguishable from a real existence, a real life.
Here's the one thing I thought that was interesting. They have talking cars. They have these fembots.
Yep.
Which is the better term than what they refer to them as in the
Yes.
film. But yet they're playing music on a CD player.
That, I suppose, is just retro. Like at
I
this
was just
point,
kind of like,
yeah, why didn't they have... I guess they were just trying to avoid using any like voice assistant in the house.
Although the band that they played, that the Book of Love, I do like that.
Yeah. I think maybe that band paid for product placement, because that CD gets put in and it is straight up.
Oh, yeah.
You can read that label. It's fun though. I like the music.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, also, I just want to, like, this isn't a spoiler thing, but there's some gunplay in the movie, and the gunshots hit hard. Like, it's not, these are not little pow, 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 pow. It's like, it's really hard hitting.
Eli's character says, "Oh my God, that was the loudest thing I heard in my life."
Yeah.
Which I love what your wife said.
She leans over to me and she's like, I think that's actually the gayest thing I've ever heard. Because there's this gay character and he shoots the gun and he's not expecting it to be loud.
And then you leaned over to me and said, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Just like sometimes she says the most off the wall stuff. It makes me laugh so hard.
Yeah, because my poor wife, she's been stuck home with the flu all week, so she couldn't make it last night.
Jessica, I know you'll be forced to listen to this at some point, so I hope you feel better soon.
Next weekend when Drew comes on board. Yeah. But she's like, well, how was it? And I said, actually, it's really good.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready to go see this again with her.
Yeah, and the movie, I think, is also, from a storytelling standpoint, it's really talking about abusive relationships and manipulation.
Yeah.
And the things that happens with those. And I think it's a very it's just pulling stuff right out of the playbook that lots of people use to manipulate their partners.
Yeah.
It's like it's this ridiculous heightened situation, but it is kind of like, oh yeah, I've had that happen to me. I've seen that happen, and I know it works.
I think this film would be more appealing to women than guys.
I think so too. Yeah. I think it's one of those things that's kind of like, it's like revenge fantasy. Like Kill Bill is kind of, in that same kind of camp. And it's fun to watch because you're like, yeah, you got what you deserved. I mean, you suck. So, you want to get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's get into spoilers.
All right, let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. So Sophie Thatcher's a robot.
Right.
Which from the trailers.
Right. Or if you've seen a trailer for this film.
I will never not laugh at the phrase, "Did you jailbreak your sex bot?" That's hilarious. Because I think you said something when that happened, but I was sitting there thinking about like, yeah, I've jailbroken stuff before. I know exactly what they're talking about. You're getting access to functions or adding functions that weren't there in the first place. And I was like, I guess you could jailbreak anything with the CPU, but maybe not something that looks that human. That feels wrong.
Yeah. Especially something that's supposed to be your companion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't, no.
Probably the most shocking moment there. So there's blood, people die, whatever. But the most shocking moment is when he's explaining to her how they met, and he's like, yeah, the whole "I dropped oranges in the grocery store" thing is not real. What happened was I set you up, and then it just hard cuts to him finishing an activity on top of her, and it's like, I don't know if I needed that shot to be that big in my face.
Yeah, his whole face was not necessary.
It was so aggressive.
Her reaction to it is just as funny because she's lying there in bed and she's not even fully naked. Like, it's actually very tastefully done.
Yeah, actually.
And she's just like laying there like, okay.
Yep. But she has this look on her face like, he's happy, so I'm happy. And it's like, are you though?
But then she gets revenge later on that when the people from the Android company show up. And they expose the fact that, this robot that he forced her to shoot herself in the head, That's not all where her vital functions are. It's in her gut.
He just assumed. And like, rookie mistake. If you want to destroy a hard drive, you need to know where it is and drill right through it. Okay. The government's going to be able to recover it otherwise. What are you doing?
And then they gave her free will.
Yes. Yeah.
And then she's like, and she just rattled off like this whole line of dialogue about how awful he is and what a jerk he is. And it's really funny.
I know you have a below average wing wang. That's great.
That was the best. I was like, go get him, girl.
Yeah. The thing is though, like as far as comedy goes, like I didn't want to see his O face, but we saw it and it was like, it was paced well. It was a funny moment. And then the moment where Eli shoots the gun and says that is really funny.
Yeah.
Like, just like, duh.
Although I don't understand, like the gay characters in this, they made out to be really stupid.
I think the direction that was given to Harvey was, we want you to be aggressively gay.
Oh, that worked.
He definitely was.
His partner in the film too, it's revealed that he's a robot too.
Yes.
That's something I didn't see coming.
I did not see that coming at all. That completely caught me off guard when he did that. And I was absolutely taken aback by it because I was like, oh, okay, so that's why Kat's the only one that gets weirded out about Iris, and the other, obviously they all know, but no one cares except Kat, so that's why. Great.
So the whole story to this too is Josh the owner and Kat have conspired, and they hotwire this fembot to commit murder.
I'm sorry, that's a great way to put it. I just hadn't thought of it that way.
Right. And they're all in on it because Kat has made the impression that her boyfriend / she's his mistress, how awful of a person he was, and they generally just want to break into his safe and take like millions of dollars.
Yeah, like 12 million, a little over 12.
But things don't go according as planned, and people kind of leave stuff out, and there's different perspectives of things, and there's little twists and turns, and it's just enough to keep it interesting throughout the entire film that you're not sitting there bored or kind of like, well, geez, that was a stupid move, or it's not contrived, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think they do enough to drip feed it to you where you could figure some things out as you go along. Like when they first arrive at the cabin. Josh is like, Kat said secluded, but like, geez, this is the middle of nowhere. And so like,
it was a beautiful location.
Oh yeah. Fantastic.
That house and everything, just fantastic.
Whoever found that, give her $20 extra just as a thank you.
I'll buy you dinner at Grand Avenue Theater if you come down here.
Absolutely. You have to bring Sophie though.
Yes,
so,
please.
I thought the Eli and Patrick twist was really fun. And then the way that they also like end up with Josh taking control of Patrick after Eli dies and using him as this enforcer. Yeah. And the way that also kind of backfires on him because then Kat is stopped from leaving by Patrick, but he just straight up murders her.
Yeah.
And I was so interested in like, the whole trying to justify Sergei's murder. And I was convinced, like, well, he's obviously a bad dude. Like, he tried to assault Iris. So,
he tried to, like, rape her pretty much.
But he was told by Kat that
it was okay.
That she was a sex bot, so it's okay.
Yeah.
So, morally gray area at the very best. And also just not good. But they do this whole plan so that Iris will actually stab him to death because they know Sergei won't stop.
Right.
Is the idea. So that's so interesting. But then you get on, he's talking about like what he does. He's like, I have my fingers in lots of pots. It's a dirty business. And you're like, okay, so he's a mobster. Like that's how you get this rich. No, he sells dirt. Yeah. He's just a mulch man.
Sod was actually, I think, what she said.
A sod magnate, if you will. And I just thought, when that was revealed, I was like, that's the biggest twist of the whole movie. We're not even going to address it for more than 10 seconds.
Because he looks like somebody that Craven the Hunter should be hunting down.
Absolutely.
And he's not. He's a regular guy.
He's just a bad husband who sells dirt.
Bad husband, bad boyfriend.
But yeah, like, I think the moment that they reveal that he does sod and that's how he's made his fortune, it's like the whole thing of I have my fingers in many pots, it's very dirty. I was like, that's so funny now.
So he just gives that perception to everybody that he's not.
Yeah,
he's a dirty human being.
He just wants to be the tough guy, Right. And that's a very not to be overly generalizing, but that's a very Russian thing.
Yes.
It's a very Russian thing to do.
Especially with him coming down to the beach where Sophie's there and he brings like a bottle of vodka with him. And it's like, what, 10 o'clock in the morning?
I know, it's ridiculous. But yeah, this the kind of twists and turns that come with not revealing Patrick too early, and the way that they kind of make that they don't even really hint at it, except that they have this perfect meet cute. And Iris had the same sort of like perfect meet cute,
right?
thing.
But you had no idea that it was like for Iris, it was more kind of you knew that it was going to be implants,
yes,
like memory enhancements that they did to this robot. Patrick, you had no idea that was coming.
I think there's just enough there that if you were looking for it, you could find that out and pay it and be like, oh, okay, they're both having the same feeling. They can both like explain it the same way. So you could maybe pick that out, but it's not just given to you.
Right.
And I love that. Like when you leave breadcrumbs that keep my brain active and I'm looking for stuff, like that's fun for me. I like passive, just sit down, watch a popcorn movie stuff, but this stuff makes me excited.
So would that be the ultimate downfall for this film too? Do you think people would stay away from it because of that?
What? Because it's dropping breadcrumbs?
That it has a brain.
Well, we saw that with Wolfman a little bit. So I'd like to say no, but maybe. I don't know. I think that it's it's dropping the breadcrumbs, but you don't have to be paying attention to those to enjoy it.
Okay. It's good counter-programming to Dogman this weekend. It's, you don't want to see the kiddie film. This is more adult, and it's actually worth your time.
Yeah, and I think that it is doing an interesting, sort of take on like the domestic violence and manipulation tactics and showing all of that in progress.
And this is a little bit different than like The Invisible Man did it too.
Yes, yeah.
With the a comedic edge and a little bit more snarky and sarcastic.
Yes,
and it works. Like I definitely like that,
especially because it really lets you're not scared of them, you hate them.
Right.
You're like, these people are capable of bad things, but they're mostly feckless morons.
Right.
Like, they're idiots.
Like, in most of the film, I kept going to myself that they're not, none of them are going to get away with this.
Absolutely not.
Because they're not smart enough to pull it off.
Yeah. I loved that it just kept falling apart in front of them. Like, the fact that now this person's dead. Oh, now that person's dead. Oh, now the cop's getting his face completely beat in because Josh didn't think, and he just set Patrick. He set Patrick's aggression all the way to 100 and had no thought for how that could obviously go terribly wrong and another person could die. Like he just doesn't care. He's completely selfish.
I thought it was funny how Iris thought she was going to outsmart the cop because she's in Josh's car. It's pulled over the side of the road. The cop comes up behind her. So she immediately turns her voice to German.
Yes.
And she also messes with her intelligent level and puts herself up to 100 where Josh had her at 40.
Yeah.
And so she is smart enough to kind of figure out how to get out of the situation. And
I think they said 100's like an Ivy League grad, and then 0 is just a mindless automaton.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was funny to see her like do that and then speaking German and the cop's like, okay.
I don't often laugh at subtitles, but I did laugh when she turned around and she goes, "I'm speaking German because I can't lie." I was like, "That's clever and funny."
Yeah.
Like what a way to get around that. That's just a good, smart, quick thinking thing.
Yeah.
I also love that she uses the voice pitch and stuff, and like at first she's just seeing what the control app does.
Right.
But then she tries to use that to get the car moving. And I just thought that was like, it was a smart thing. It was tense because she's trying to get it right and he's trying to break into the car. I don't know what those windows are made out of though. Goodness gracious. Those are some great windows. I don't know where Josh's car...
They should be on like the Avengers mobiles.
They should. But yeah, it does enough stuff with the app without it also being like everything is contingent on it. Like it is still her as a person is what it really hinges on. Not does she have the phone? Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that maybe aren't as great.
Okay.
So the thing that I think was kind of a cop-out, if you will. No, it's not the police officer. I wish it was a pun, but it's not. Patrick pulls up whatever memories from his hard drive of Eli after, like when he's about to hurt Iris. And then he just like shocks himself in the mouth and dies. And I was like, that's not... something more interesting than that should have happened. He just ends himself because I think they didn't know what to do with him at that point.
You might be right about that, but I thought it was kind of fitting that once he realizes that he couldn't have Eli, who the person that he did love, that he just did not want to go on living even as a robot.
Yeah.
Or he didn't want to be manipulated anymore. He didn't want to be messed with. So he took the easy way out.
Yeah.
So I understand where you see that as a cop-out, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, like, I see it both ways. I think I just would have wanted something else to happen. Like, he goes in there and Josh, destroys him. And while he's doing that, and while Josh is, ripping him to shreds or whatever with a crowbar or whatever he's doing in there, that gives Iris the time to go and get... I don't know. Like, I don't know if that would have made it better. Probably not. I don't know. I just wanted something else. But yeah, you're right. It makes sense. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I probably couldn't come up with something better.
I thought it made sense.
Okay, cool. Other than that, I'm drawing a blank right now. There were like two other things where I was like, but it's mostly really good. So like even if there are small little quiggles that are not the best writing ever done. The overall experience of the movie was, I enjoyed it and I'd watch it again.
It was enjoyable. It had some thought to it, and it moved along pretty well.
Yeah, it has a really, really quick pace. It's only 97 minutes, but for a budget of $10 million. This is way better than Joker 2.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looked better than Joker or Red One.
Yes, by a long shot.
So that's also to say that what you can do with a little bit amount of money.
Yes.
Because they got a great location. They got a great looking house. They got good actors and actresses.
Yeah.
And minimal budget. So congratulations to the cast and crew of that.
Absolutely. Good writing, Drew Hancock. Yeah. I think overall it's a win. And
you've redeemed yourself now for Barbarian, because that movie sucks.
Well, I don't think Drew Hancock
he didn't write Barbarian?
No, I don't think so. Barbarian was Zach Kreger, who was one of the Whitest Kids You Know's guys.
Barbarian was horrible. I just really hate that, because I think everybody made a big deal about it. And I got to watch that before anybody else did, because I stayed late at the theater I was working at and started it up. And I got through it and I was like, this is really what I stayed up for? I'm like, this is awful.
People love that movie, man.
I know, and I don't understand why.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know either.
You're not missing anything.
That's fine by me. Yeah. The list is long enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, different director than Barbarian. The Barbarian director is just, he's a producer on this one. So
okay.
But yeah, I just overall I had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed kind of watching her go through when she turns her intelligence up and she's trying to figure out what to do, and they do these they're basically cutaway gags where she's like, I can't hitchhike because she imagines herself sticking her thumb out covered in blood.
Yeah.
and then when she thinks about going back to Josh's car says like, and this is a great plan, Iris. It was just so whimsical, and I really didn't expect that much.
And then when
that.
she finally does show up at Josh's apartment, he's there and shoots her in the head.
Yes, yeah, that one too. And she's like, okay, can't go back there.
Yeah.
But it does that in a way that shows her thinking it through, but it's like fun and it's kind of funny and it gives you a moment to breathe. Uh-huh. And I thought all of that was really cool. I also I was trying to read the reaction of the guys who came to pick Iris up after she shot herself in the head, and I was like, I think the main tech guy knows that this is modded, and then soon as he walks out, he's like, He's like, so why do you think he went crazy? Oh, he modded her. Are you sure? Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. That
yeah,
guy's
he's
screwed.
screwed.
Yeah, so funny. I was like, yeah, they can always tell.
But as soon as they say that too, that's when Eli's companion shows up and shoots both of them.
Yes.
Or tries to shoot both.
That was where the gunshots really like hit hard.
Yeah.
Like there's something about a well mixed gunshot that it can either make it sound like action or tragedy.
And you're not
this
quite
feels
expecting
tragic.
it either.
Yeah, it's just like bang, 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 and it's so loud and like the best way possible.
Yeah.
I sound mixing. It's one of those things that you don't really notice it if it's good, but when someone does something that's just like the perfect decision, it really makes or breaks a moment.
I think it shows up better in these small movies than it does in like big blockbuster films.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's noticeable.
Absolutely. It was really good, and I was enjoying the VFX part of it because like the eye color changing is one of the first VFX things I ever learned. It's so much fun to do and just play around with because you can just motion track it and just change the color of that, but it works really well for this.
Well, a couple of people asked me too. They're like, "Why does she have those weird eyes?" I'm like, "She's a robot."
Dumb.
And they're like, "So what's with the eyes?" And I was like, "Well, that's when she's turned off." And they're like, "Oh." I was like, "No, just go see it."
Yeah, just watch it. It'll make perfect sense.
Right.
I also was really impressed when Kat dies and she sits down on the couch next to Iris. So there's the symbolism of like everyone that gets involved with Josh ends up kind of in a dead or comatose state.
Right.
But also that there's this feeling of like Sophie Thatcher looks like a plastic robot in that moment, way more than anywhere else in the movie, and she just looks completely pale and dead. And I was just like, if that's a body double, it's fantastic. If it's her, it's fantastic makeup. Like she looks off.
Right.
It's crazy. I enjoyed all of that, and I loved also that because the corkscrew kept coming up. They used the corkscrew twice in this movie, and the first time I saw it, I was like, that's an interesting corkscrew. And then the second time they did like an even bigger close-up shot of it. I was like, all right, this has to come back somewhere. But it happens early on enough that by the time you get to the final confrontation, you've forgotten about it.
Right.
And, she tries to get the knife. And Hannah did ask me, she goes, did they show her grabbing the corkscrew? I was like, no, I don't think so. Because I don't think they did. It's just like,
when I watch that again, I'll take a look for that.
Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff on the floor, like, you get the idea. She grabbed it off to the side. But yeah, ending him with saying, Josh, go to sleep, and then shoving the corkscrew into the side of his head, and it just like turns on. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, that hurt.
It really, like, and when it dislodges the ocular nerve and his eye just lulls off to the side, I was like, oh, that is brutal.
So that's like the only really aspect of this film that maybe could be considered like a horror film. Rest of it, no.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not a horror movie, and Hannah and I were discussing that too, because she's like, do you think Sophie Thatcher will get just typecast in horror movies? I was like, I don't think either of the stuff that we've seen her in between this and Heretic really are horror movies. I think
they're suspense.
They're suspense or like a dark comedy thriller sort of thing. But Heretic looks like a horror movie and does play into those themes,
but it has so much more thought process to it.
This one looks like a horror movie in the first trailer, but is not that at all.
Right, because the first trailer I saw this was the whole thing with Josh putting like dinner out, and then next thing you know, Sophie's arm is on fire.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the other great gag in this film too is at the end, looking off at the car and seeing the other fembot with another guy, and she raises like her robot arm and waves, and the fembot just looks at her like, what
is that? But she has the same face,
right?
So like she's gonna put it together, and like well, that little action may have set that fembot on a new road to kill that guy who's just complaining about things in the car.
I thought that was cool.
I loved that, and I was enjoying the like. Because I didn't know what the budget was on this. $10 million really shocks me. This has a chance to make back its budget, even if it doesn't do like super great. So like home release, I think.
Home release, this probably has a better chance than theatrical, unfortunately.
Yeah. I would say watch it in a theater though, because those gunshots. Oh my gosh! I know that seems like a stupid reason to say go to the theater, but sound is so important, and it just really hits those moments when it happens in this movie.
Yeah, no, it's worth seeing in a theater.
Andy, I love the sound of guns. It's so fun.
Is there something I should know about Garrett?
No, I like to go to a range and pop off rounds and stuff
okay.
but I grew up shooting like when I was 10, I shot a 270 rifle that nearly knocked me off a bench. It was one of the best moments of my life.
At least you didn't go, oh my God, that's the loudest thing ever.
No, I went, can I have another round? I have shot a 50 cal sniper rifle.
Ooh.
That I don't know if
I'm surprised
still
it
have
doesn't
the
take
video.
your shoulder off.
It funny enough, it had a really like cushiony stock on it, but in the video that I had, you don't see it as much in my shoulder, but my entire rear end shifts down like a full 6 inches and then bounces back up. It was incredible. It felt so cool. Like it's like holding an explosion in your hand.
Wow.
Oh, it's so fun. Anyway.
Yeah, so the first trailer that you see for this really does look like a horror film with like her arm on fire, but then the second one, it does reveal that she's a robot, that there is a little bit more to this, but it's still honestly marketed as kind of a horror film. And I was like, no, that's really not the direction this film takes.
Yeah, I think they do in the second film when Iris is running. Sorry, not the second film, the second trailer. They show the part where Iris runs out and Patrick tries to get Eli to notice that she's run off. He's like, shh, I'm on the phone. Like they kind of start showing a little bit more of that. But I also like that most of the stuff that was in the trailer was like from mostly the first 20 minutes of the movie. There's other stuff in there, but most of it is from the
trailer didn't give the
beginning.
entire film away either, which was good. Just from the first trailer, I was like, I didn't really know what to make of this.
Yeah. It's if you haven't seen the trailer, don't see it. Just watch the movie.
Yeah, just skip it.
All of the stuff that would have been even a surprise, all the stuff that would have been a surprise if I hadn't seen the trailer would have been better for the viewing experience. But there wasn't. Yeah, most of it is not spoiled. So good on the trailer cut for that, I suppose. But yeah, it is kind of confused with the tone, I think, a little bit. But
yeah. Definitely.
Apparently, though, they spent $29 million on promoting the film. So the advertising budget is 3 times the budget of the actual movie.
Jeez.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Good, borderline on great.
Yeah.
Just because it was a good original story.
Yes. And I like that. I like when something's different and new.
That's why we're looking forward to Mickey 17.
Yes, that's going to be so weird.
Yeah, but Bong Joon-ho, man, he
knows what he's doing.
I love his films, so I do.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing to mention. It's doing something interesting with trying to say like what is a life and what is. If you're autonomous, does that mean you have like it's not asking questions about souls, but even when her intelligence is set to 0 and he makes her shoot herself in the head, there's this moment right before where she says no before she pulls the trigger. And so it really is like she's kind of breaking free of her programming in a way, which is weird because computers shouldn't be able to do that. Anyway, AI is terrifying. But also that shot where she shoots and you see the
bullet go through her eyes.
Goes behind her eyes, the expansion of the gases, the cogs and whatever flying out the other side. Looks incredible.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Like they do minimal VFX, it looks like, on this movie, but when they do the shot, they spend the money in the right shots.
They look like they were working on a Spielberg film.
Yeah, it looks... How is this better than any shot in Red 1? How?
Yeah, and they spent what, like
1/25 of the budget.
$250 million. They spent 10 on this.
Yeah, makes no sense, does it?
The Rock pocketed that money.
He definitely did. I mean, Red 1 has a lot more VFX shots too, so there's a much heavier workload. But yeah, just I don't
less
know.
is better.
Do not that ever again.
Yeah, please.
All right. Oh, you want to get into news?
Yeah, let's get into news.
Let's do the news. All right. So first up, we have news that you'll be interested in.
Uh-oh.
The Toxic Avenger has a release date.
Yeah.
Oh, you've already seen this?
I saw it had a release date. I didn't get to read the entire thing.
Okay. It is coming on August 29th. So Labor Day weekend, we're getting the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm getting it here.
Probably not.
I have selfish reasons for booking that here. Just I want to see it. It can't be any more offensive than the original Trauma one.
Well, people find all kinds of new ways to be offensive. It's basically the internet's pastime.
But it's going to be, from what I understand, it's not going to be R. It's going to be unrated.
Yeah. So
that's going to make distribution for that film really tough.
Here on Joblo, it's saying that it has received an R rating for strong violence and gore, language throughout, sexual references, and brief graphic nudity.
Yeah, that's the same as the original.
And the gore includes a moment that has been referred to as, quote, the butt gut scene. So
I'd have to go back and watch the original one to figure that out.
Is that a rectum?
I guess.
That's the guts of the butt, I would assume.
Yeah. But who knows what they changed from the original one to this one.
Rectum. I barely know him. Anyway. Sorry. I had to. Okay. So the Duffer Brothers, apparently they are working to have the final season of Stranger Things ready this year. So if you're into Stranger Things, it's supposed to come this year. We'll see. Most of the kids now are collecting Social Security checks, but we're going to go for it. But yeah, they said they're looking to wrap it up, and then that they are going to be doing spin-offs. So I don't know.
The only one I'd be interested in would be one that David Harbour would do. Like I kind of like the kids, but I think his story would probably be the most compelling for me as an offshoot.
Yeah, I think his would be really cool, and then I would watch Dustin in his own spinoff.
Yeah,
I wouldn't watch most of the other kids on their own.
No, because they're good as a group. Individually, they're all kind of disposable.
Yeah, like it was funny in the first season. It didn't feel that way as much, but as it went on, Dustin kind of became like the standout, especially for me.
Especially with him singing the never-ending story with his girlfriend.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I love that whole thing. It's so sweet. Like,
it is.
It's great. But yeah, Matt Duffer told Variety, right now we're just cutting all the visual effects sequences for the show so they can get started on those, so they can be running in time for a release. Yeah. So a lot of it hasn't been decided in terms of exactly the release dates and cadence. That's one reason I'm not allowed to talk about it.
That's one of the big, I know I've seen the ad for like Netflix to get people to subscribe, and that's one of the things that they use in that is stuff from Stranger Things and Wednesday and their big selling series.
The first part of that commercial, I was like, this doesn't look like a really crazy high. And then they started doing all the floating things. And I was like, okay, well, this you could do the replacement of the floor with all the upside down stuff on it. That's not too expensive to do. And then the Demogorgon came in and I was like, okay, yeah, this is an expensive commercial. Yeah. And then it kept going for like 3 minutes, just dropping through multiple things. And I was like, oh, this got expensive fast. Like I watched the whole ad just going, how much was production on just this commercial? That's crazy because in Austin, a commercial will be, you're easily spending $15,000 to $50,000 for a 30-second ad. At Solar Flight Productions, we can do something similar for, under 10. So, we're pretty good at what we do, and we do it for small businesses. Anyway, solarflightpro.com. That's solarflightpro.com.
Yeah, thanks for the shameless plug, G-Force.
It's don't steal my G-Force.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that ad, shooting all of that stuff and having like a nationwide distribution of that, was millions of dollars they dumped into that.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be better than the Doritos commercial with the Kansas City Chiefs.
With the what?
With the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was like, you're supposed to vote on the ad that's supposed to play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And from what I read yesterday, too, is a lot of the Super Bowl commercials this year are AI.
Ew.
Yeah, gross. I said the same thing. I was
That's disgusting.
More movie commercials.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
What I want is another commercial like the Doritos commercial where the woman's pregnant and the guy's like moving the Doritos back and forth over her belly and the baby's chasing it and he throws one and the baby just shoots out of her. I love that commercial so much. My favorite commercial, though, of all time, I don't know why this is the one that stuck with me, but it was this little boy and he's playing. He's got a Darth Vader suit on and he's
the
swinging.
car commercial.
Yes.
And
he goes out and he holds his hand out to the Volkswagen and it starts up and it's just his little jump back.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, if I was a kid, that would have
that commercial is awesome.
I love that one. It just I've never bought a Volkswagen, but I'll remember that forever.
The one from when I was a kid, and this is an old commercial, is an old couple eating dinner and they're having soup, and the wife goes to the husband, I just don't understand. When the lights go out, you just fall asleep anymore. And the light bulb above the table burns out, and the next thing you know, you hear him like snoring into his soup. And I always thought that was really funny. I have a dumb sense of humor. What can I say?
Hey, snoring has been funny to me since I was a child.
Oh, yeah.
Like, my dad, I remember we were watching Mythbusters once and he fell asleep. And I legitimately jumped up because he snored all of a sudden. It was really loud. And I turned around. I was like, Mom, there's a bear. And she started laughing because I legitimately was freaking out.
That's why my Boston, like he falls asleep and because of his facial features, like he snores.
It's amazing they live more than like 10 days. Honestly.
Well, the Boston I had before Bugsy, Domino, I had her for 17 years.
Wow.
And she lasted a long time. Because like close to the end there, like every morning I'd get up and like put like my glasses underneath her nose to make sure she was still alive. Because I was like, how are you hanging on this long? And she just, hi, how you doing?
Some of them just really, they last so much longer and you never know why, except I guess if they're being loved.
Yeah, I took care of her very well.
Yeah. But yeah, so he said, Matt Duffer, sorry, just going to loop back on this. He said, we're working as fast as we possibly can. Even season 4, we cut that so tight. We were dropping in visual effect shots the day after the launch.
Whoa.
So hopefully we'll be a little more on schedule this year. Now it's just sort of climbing up another hill as we head towards finally finishing this. He said, we spent a full year filming this season. By the end, we had captured over 650 hours of footage. Oh my God, that's insane. So needless to say, this is our biggest and most ambitious season yet. It's like 8 blockbuster movies. It's pretty insane. At the same time, we think, or hope, it's our most personal story. It was super intense and emotional to film. Season 5 will be big and epic. There's no time for a ramp up. It's going to be intense from beginning to end. It's also going to feel familiar. This season is the biggest it's ever been in scale, but everyone's back together in Hawkins, interacting in the same way they were in season 1. So I have high hopes for this. Like the Duffer Brothers have done, good stuff. Like I think season 3 is kind of like a medium point a little bit.
I still need to finish the last. Like I only got about halfway through and I never finished it.
I'm probably gonna start it over again and watch through the whole thing because I love the cinematography of this series.
My wife and I say the same thing. We hate it when series do this with like this long span of time.
Yeah.
In between the seasons that you just completely don't remember like what happened the previous season.
But at the same time, your best bet is to have enough lined up to shoot with kids that you can get as much story as possible.
Yeah.
So, I think that was probably the main thing is they were just like, at least it'll be consistent throughout this season that's supposed to take place over like, a week time or whatever it is. So, but yeah, there's more Stranger Things story to tell, says Matt. Cool. It's a bit early at this point to talk about them, but we're deeply involved in every one. So yeah, they're going to do some other spinoff stuff. We'll see what's happening with that. There's a new image of Screamboat Mickey, which I will share on our social media. But he looks like it looks like a prolapsed anus is his mouth.
He looks like a crackhead mouse.
This is the worst looking thing I've seen, and I
don't even think I saw anything like that when I lived in New York City.
I know, and this is what most of New York City looks like now.
It or at least when I was
that
there. Bad.
You didn't run into the same guys I saw on the subway then.
Well,
well, you might have. But yeah,
I that's why I wore headphones and kept my head down.
Yep. See, I was scared to do that because I thought that would get me stabbed. Because I wouldn't hear someone running up on me.
That kept me from getting stabbed.
Did you say this has an April 29th release date?
Yeah, I think
Something
that's
like
what
that?
I saw on IMDb.
I think we have to. I don't think we can not watch this.
I have a hard time paying money to see this.
Oh, no, let's absolutely pirate it.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I'm kidding. But
just like Popeye the Slayer Man.
Listen to this, okay? The main producer or director, I can't remember, but he's producing Screamboat with Amy Schumacher. Thank God, not Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
Maureen Malul, and previously mentioned Steve Della Sala in this article, and Michael Levy. So here are the names of the production pictures. Cali Pictures. Okay, that's pretty, innocuous. Sleight of Hand Productions. Okay, you're getting a little cheeky there. Then there's Reckless Content, which I think is very apt.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Just to hide up the mafia money that's being laundered throughout this film.
And also, this is pretty reckless.
I wonder if in Vegas I'll sit next to the guy that produced this year.
I think you should try. You should figure out, like, just learn their faces and go find them.
Maybe I'll get a copy from him.
Now that would be incredible.
If I end up like running into that guy, I'll be like, "So you got like a DVD screener you can give me? I'll bring that back here, hook it up to a projector, and
I will show up at any hour." Oh goodness!
CinemaCon has made like their skeleton crew like schedule, like they have rough outlines, but they haven't announced like any screenings yet. So I'm curious about like hopefully they have something better than what we got to see last year.
Hopefully it's not
the second movie I didn't even go see because I knew it was going to be bad.
Which one was that?
Babes.
Oh yeah,
because I looked at that and go, they're screening this at CinemaCon? Pfft, I'm not going to see this. That's really bad when I won't go see a free movie.
I know. That actually is shocking to me.
Yeah.
That there are movies like that exist because you've seen all the human centipedes.
You're never going to let me live that down,
No, it's hilarious.
That's what happens when you work for a while I worked in a video store, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'll make it real easy to just be like, I'll just chunk this on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still, though, you saw the first one and kept going. So.
Morbid curiosity. I don't want to say guilty pleasure because I said last week that I hate that term. Morbid curiosity.
Yeah.
And especially like how deranged the second one was. And then when the third one came out, yep, I watched that one too. No wonder Drew like follows in my footsteps. I'm leading like a bad influence on my son.
I can't say you haven't earned this. Like you're gonna have to see Sonic 3 again, and I think it's probably penance for going back to the Human Centipede at some point.
I finally got to see Sonic 3 last weekend with Drew when he was up here.
Oh, did you see the moment that I told you was like the worst acting I'd ever seen?
No, because it might have been when I fell asleep.
So you didn't see when they went to the Chow Garden and the robots attack and the general's there. And
I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, the moment where they move the debris off the top of him and he just goes, "Sonic, take this." Like he's so incredibly terrible.
Most of the acting in it, if it wasn't for the cartoons, like it would have.
I'm offended by the fact that they aren't trying.
I know 4 got greenlit.
Yep.
So
Not
that's
surprisingly.
2027, I think, is when that's coming out.
Hooray!
Yeah, I can see why you and Drew like these films. I do.
Yeah.
It's just not for me.
I mean, I don't love it. I just thought that Shadow was cool.
Shadow was cool. I give you that.
That's the only part of the movie
Reeves,
I really like.
Perfect voice casting for that. Yes,
absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah. You're a colorful bunch. It's so good. It's good delivered. John Leguizamo has joined Christopher Nolan's next movie. Did you hear what his movie is?
Did anybody actually release details of it?
It's The Odyssey.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
Yeah.
I did read that.
So interesting to me that they're going to do that. Like, I'll watch it for sure. But why The Odyssey? I wonder what is so interesting to Nolan about that particular story.
It's an interesting story.
Yeah, but
like,
to not do an original thing and to go and like adapt something, that's kind of
the Coen brothers did that. That's Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
That's right, yeah.
And that's I think after that people don't really want to take like another perspective on that because the Coen brothers did that so well with that film and then going with the bluegrass soundtrack to it, which normally I don't like that kind of music. It fits
really
perfectly
works,
with that film. Yeah, like that film is a masterpiece to me.
Well, this movie is expected to cost $250 million, but could very easily go higher. They are,
but at least with him, it'll look like it. They spent there. Not Todd Phillips.
It's a mythic action epic shot across the world using brand new IMAX film technology. So what I believe that probably means is that we're going to get a lot more dialogue scenes with IMAX cameras because
probably
IMAX cameras are very loud. But this new generation that they've released is apparently half of the sound decibel level. So they're much quieter, which means they can get the cameras in closer for dialogue stuff.
He's real big on like using IMAX cameras too.
He almost exclusively uses them.
Yeah.
If he can get away with it, it's an IMAX camera. Which, you know, I get it.
I can't say I blame him, to be honest.
I'd love to shoot with an IMAX camera. I'd also love to be able to pay rent by making stuff with
are they still big and bulky like they used to be?
They're not as small as a lot of like the Alexa cameras, the digital cameras. They'll use them on, you know, we use them on Fear the Walking Dead, the Alexa Mini and stuff. So they're bulkier because I believe the IMAXs are still film. They're not they are not digital cameras.
Well, they're not. Most of the IMAX theaters though anymore, they're not film. They're digital.
Right. Yeah, but they do. They'll shoot it on film so they have the grain like in the picture, and then then they'll do a digital scan of that for editing and stuff. But the IMAX cameras are I believe. Double check me next week. I'll go research this more. But I believe they're still film cameras, which is one of the reasons he likes using them. There's a texture to film and there's a highlight roll off that's very different. I love film. I just can't afford it. Like I have a camera with an SD or not an SD card, but a CFast card that cost me $600 when I bought it. They're now worth 120, so that hurts. But but I've been using those cards for 6 years now.
Tarantino's real big on film too.
But once you use it, it's used, you know, it's just, it gets really pricey, especially now that it's not the main way of doing it. It's not a wide commodity anymore. It's now niche. Niche means expensive.
Right.
And it's just getting worse.
Yeah. I know many years ago when I was still living in Pittsburgh and the Three Rivers Film Festival, I used to go to a lot of like really small movies and see because that was the only chance I would have.
Yeah.
And a film called Pariah. That's a great film, but it's hard to watch. It's a true story about a guy whose girl was raped by skinheads. She ended up killing herself, and then he goes undercover into the skinhead crowd and is looking to kill everybody involved one by one. And it's based on a true story. Wow. And I got to talk to the filmmakers afterwards because they were there.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, most of how we got the film to make this film is we bought from Paramount leftover film from The Relic.
Really?
And they got it really cheap and were able to like keep production going. And so he said, yeah, a lot of independent filmmakers, they buy from the studios just because there is leftover film after.
Yeah.
But I guess that's not the case anymore since most everybody's going digital.
Yeah, I mean, Red cameras and Alexa cameras are, you know, I think I looked at the Sundance Festival every year. They'll release a list of what cameras were used for pictures that got into Sundance. It's always Alexa has like 35, 25, you know, up there. And then there's other different Alexa, like the Alexa 35 will be the big one. And then you'll have the Alexa 65 and the Alexa Mini. And then you'll get into like this year, it's just Alexa and Sony cameras, I think. Maybe a Red. There's probably some Reds in there.
Sony projectors are a pain in the butt.
I also dislike Sony pictures.
Just as they make stupid choices.
Oh my goodness! Hard eyes.
They are going to have a sizzle reel, I guess, or their own spot at CinemaCon this year.
Sizzle reel. Is it a sizzle reel or is it more like
their presentation of the upcoming year?
A torture device.
But my whole thing was when you see these things that the studios put together. They really brag about, you know, we did 400 million nationwide and overseas with this movie and all these great stats to go along with the movies that they've put out. What does Sony have that they're going to be able to do that?
This year, we were not forced into bankruptcy. We did it. We made it through.
The best thing they could say.
Congratulations.
Was there any other films last year that really like hit the mark and did well?
Let's see here.
I can't think of one.
Let's look up Sony movies from 2024 and let's just see all of Columbia Pictures films.
Because I know Garfield that bombed.
So Bad Boys for Life. Came out last January. That did $426 million off of a $90 million budget. So that's a win for them.
Yeah.
The Magic Kids, the Wolfgang, box office $2 million. I have no idea. It's German, so not even a big thing.
So that's probably Sony Pictures Classics that actually put that out.
Probably, yeah. Fantasy Island, $49 million on a $7 million budget. Narcissus and Goldmund, German film. Oh gosh, Bloodshot was 2020. This is years ago.
I was going to say.
Yeah, why is this? Okay,
Because Fantasy Island was many years ago too.
Yeah, 2024. Okay, sorry. So Madam Web,
Bomb.
$100.5 million on a $100 million movie that got released twice because the internet trolled Sony into releasing it.
No, that was Morbius.
Oh, was that Morbius?
That
Dang
was
it.
Morbius.
Okay, my bad.
Madam Web was DOA.
Yeah. Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire, $202 million on a $100 million budget. That means they might have broken even.
Not by much.
The Garfield movie was
that tanked.
$257 million on a $60 million budget. So it was a success.
It didn't do well here. I know that.
Okay, so we did get Bad Boys last year. Bad Boys Ride or Die,
Bad Boys
$400 million on $100 million.
And that did okay.
Yeah, it was 4 times his budget. So Fly Me to the Moon, $100 million movie, $42 million box office.
Yeah, but that was mostly Sony that was behind that, or not Sony, Apple.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that was an Apple play, and I still haven't seen it.
$40 million budget for Harold and the Purple Crayon, $32 million return.
Oh yeah, that was another bomb here. Yeah, I couldn't pay people to see that.
It Ends With Us was $351 million on a $25 million budget, but instead of spawning a series, it spawned a bunch of lawsuits. Afraid, $12.6 million on a $12 million budget. That one was not bad. Saturday night.
I like that. I liked Afraid. It didn't do anything.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought it was dumber than it was.
Yeah, and actually, it was a lot better than what it looked like.
Absolutely.
It
Saturday night bombed, but was really good.
Yeah, it's on Netflix now. By the way, if anybody needs to see that, that's another one definitely worth your time. I love that film.
$9.8 million on a $30 million budget.
That's Sony's fault though. That film could have been, if they had marketed it.
Yes,
but they did no marketing or push for that film at all. Like it's like they had no.
And you have a Reitman in charge of it. Like it's gonna be good.
They had no faith in that from the get go. It's like, well, then why did you finance it?
Venom: The Last Dance, $479 million on a $120 million budget. Okay. Kraven the Hunter, $61.5 million on a $130 million budget. And then something called Green Bones, which was only distributed in the Philippines.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah,
good for them. Not a great year for Sony.
No.
Like they're not all financial losses, but I don't think that the gains make up for all the losses.
Well, I'm curious to see then Warner Brothers balance sheet, because they had one film that carried them the entire year.
Yeah.
Well, two. Doom Part 2.
That's right.
And Beetlejuice.
Yeah. Everything else was pretty much did nothing.
Yeah.
So, and didn't deserve to, as far as I'm concerned.
Some of them did.
The Writers Guild of America is going to honor David Lynch with a Lifetime Achievement Award posthumously.
Hear.
So just wanted to throw that. I thought you'd be happy to hear that.
I am.
So the award is noted for being presented to members who have advanced the literature of motion pictures and made outstanding contributions to the profession of the screenwriter.
He has.
So
I would definitely agree with that. You might not like everything that he's done, but definitely his films were evocative and interesting, even though some of them I still can't make sense of, but at least it was something different. It wasn't cookie cutter, and he challenged moviegoers' experience with his films. And I really, how much of an impact that man had on my life.
Yeah, it's well deserved, even though I don't get most of what he did.
Right, and a lot of people don't.
I can absolutely see that he was not an idiot doing something because he was up his own butt.
No,
he was just trying to do something different, and
I can't go back and watch Eraserhead again. That's it's not an easy film to watch. It really isn't.
Yeah. Andy, I've been thinking recently.
You've been thinking? When did this happen?
Well, okay, so it started with a headache, and then it just stayed that way the whole time. But
I had to go there.
What is it that children's movies need more of? What do you think they need more of?
Intelligence?
No. Let's not worry about the kids being smart. That would be ridiculous. We want them to be mindless drones to enter into a society where they're told what to do on Twitter. What if instead we make beloved children's movies, but remake them scarier?
They've been doing that.
Do you think it's good?
No.
Then you may not like the How to Train Your Dragon reboot.
Really?
So Gerard Butler says that the live action How to Train Your Dragon will be a lot scarier than the animated film. So
It can't be.
he said, I made 3 of those movies over many years, and I always wondered, I love the animated movies, but I always wondered, God, what if this was real? What if we were really there, real people, real dragons? And we had a chance to do that, to make it real. And I think that is one of the main differences. When a dragon is breathing fire of a bunch of actual Viking men and women running, it feels a lot more scary than when it was animated. You have a little more you can distance yourself, but this feels much more involved and more immersive.
I still want to see it.
I think when he means scary, maybe he just means you feel the stakes a bit more.
Maybe, but I can't imagine that not being appropriate for families.
No, I don't
to
think
the point that like kids are going to run out screaming from the theater when they get to kind of an intense part.
Yeah, but I'm sure it'll be scarier in the sense it's like, oh, that could be really hurtful. Ow, because in the cartoon you're like, oh, pretty colors.
Yeah, but there's still that that connection with Hiccup and Toothless when they first meet each other, and he holds out his hand.
Yeah.
And the dragon growls a little bit and then puts his hand his head next to his hand.
But that means the best part of what we've seen is the animated part. So
I still want to see it.
Do you want to hear why the director Dean Dubois? I can't remember. Dubois is what it looks like. But Dubois. Okay.
Yeah.
So Dean the Frenchman. Would you like to hear why he wanted to come back to this?
Why?
Okay, so he said, I decided to revisit How to Train Your Dragon because it felt like an amazing opportunity to not only direct a live-action movie, but to be jumping back into a world that I frankly miss. I miss these characters. I miss this world.
Boatload of money.
Yeah, that too. And I love movies that have a really poignant message buried deep within a moving spectacle. Adventure, wonder. That's what this movie really packs. It's about a regular kid who gets to bond with a powerful animal, and there's something that's universally wish-fulfilling about that. So, I'd miss it too if I was
and a big fat check doesn't
getting a
hurt
big fat
either.
check. Yeah, exactly. But that being said, I would love to get paid for directing stuff. That would be awesome. But I also, even if it was a story I didn't care about when I got hired to do it, I would run myself ragged trying to find what I care about in it and making sure that comes through.
Yeah, see, but there's directors that have done stuff like that has gone horribly wrong, like Brett Ratner doing X-Men 3.
Yeah.
That went way off the rails.
That was not a good movie.
No.
But
it's not.
When Magneto picks up that bridge, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's about the only good part. And I never saw Dark Phoenix.
Don't.
Yeah, that's
it. just don't.
That's all like directors that have. Even Brett Ratner said he knows nothing about the comics. He knows nothing about the world of X-Men, but yet he did it. Yeah,
he just has an obsession with tight black leather and assaulting people.
Honestly, that should be a prerequisite for doing like comic book films. Do you at least know a couple of these characters?
Yeah.
Can you at least get into this a little bit? Okay, you're hired.
Yeah. If I go into your closet, will I find a Halloween costume made of spandex or leather? Because if it's leather, we're not hiring you. Yeah. We're just not doing it. It's got to be actual spandex. You need to look like a total dork. Did you see the new TV spot for the Superman movie that's coming out?
No. Yes, I did.
Okay, so there's this one shot where he's flying towards the camera.
Yeah.
And people are going crazy about this online.
Yeah.
He looks so dumb, and why'd they CG his face? And I just love that Gunn, this is what he said. There is absolutely zero CG in his face. People's faces can look different when you put a wide angle lens up close. The background plate is in Svalbard and is 100% real, as is David. I think he tweeted at some point and just goes, he just looks like that. I just think, they can't believe how good he looks. They're like, he's too smooth and perfect. He's like, he's Superman. We hired a beautiful person to be Superman.
I'm still excited for that. I don't care what anybody says.
But that being said, it does not look nearly as dumb as the the shot of The Rock in Black Adam where he's going real fast in the air. It just looks so stupid.
It looks better than anything that was in Black Adam, to be honest. That movie is terrible.
Okay, so one last bit of news, just because I think it's funny, if you'll indulge me.
Okay.
Mark Wahlberg, he apparently...
They're going to shoot you down.
So this is about flight risk, yes.
Oh, yay.
He said that he was so determined to get this part right that he later had to apologize to his co-stars for staying in character. He said, I was locked into the part the whole time. So if we weren't shooting, I was like either off in the corner by myself, or I would just kind of go back to my little dressing room and just sit there. I was like the guy who was constantly picking at them, poking them, and prodding them, from the back of the plane the whole entire time. I apologize at the end because I wasn't very engaging off camera or outside of shooting, but I was just in that headspace. We only had 22 days of shooting, so it wasn't 4 months, 5 months of this. We shot it very quickly. And I know what they're saying here is that he was just kind of like off on his own and not interacting with them. But I love the idea that in between takes, he's just taunting them.
I could just picture him like half of his hair shaved off, like drooling all over himself in a corner going, they're going to shoot you down. Looking like Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
A little Mark Wahlberg gremlin in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. That's my favorite mental image since the monkeys on the trampoline.
I aim to please.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, do you have any news to bring up? Or is that,
the only
that
thing, the new trailer dropped for Sinners.
Ooh, yes.
Revealing the April 17th. I don't remember the exact
release date. Let me double check.
So the new trailer looks awesome. I made a mistake last week when I said it was the same guy that directed Kraven the Hunter. It is not.
That's right. This is Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler, who did Black Panther and Creed. Mm-hmm. So Michael P. Jordan has a relationship with this guy, and that's who he wanted on this film, because I think Jordan is the executive producer on this film. And the trailer does reveal that it is vampires that is the main antagonist. Haley Stanfield is in it too.
Oh, really?
I like her
a lot.
Yeah, so do
she's
I.
So like True Grit. It's just like dead gum. She was firing on all cylinders as a child.
So new trailer looks really good.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm excited for this. I like Ryan Coogler's films. Like, I think he does a good job. And he even managed to do a good job while stuck in the Marvel machine. The first time. The second time was...
I'm glad to see what... I'm curious to see what he's going to... Well, I guess we've seen what he does outside of that Creed.
Yeah.
I hope he wasn't linked to Creed 3, because that was the one that wasn't that good.
I don't believe he was. Maybe he was a producer.
That's probably why that
movie
movie stunk.
Let's see.
Because the first two for that Creed series, I really liked. Especially the second one, linking it back to the Rocky series and the Rocky 4 film. That was a great way to go with that.
Creed 3 was Michael B. Jordan's first directorial move. So
stay away from behind the camera then.
That
couldn't have been his fault. It was just it was a poorly written story. It really was.
Yeah. Well, my dad, I think we watched the first Creed together. I've watched all the Rocky movies growing up with my dad over and over and over again. Like it was Creed, any John Wayne movie. Sorry, not Creed. It was Rocky, any John Wayne movie, and the Lonesome Dove series that we watched
I like Lonesome
over
Dove.
and over and over again. And I think we watched the first Creed, and then he was like, "Yeah, I think I just am nostalgic for Rocky." It's like,
so you've even seen Rocky Balboa?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I really like that one.
I do too. My dad and I both liked it a lot.
The people were like really dissed that film a lot, and I didn't understand why.
Okay, so there's a phenomenon actually. It's called people are idiots. And
that's not a phenomenon. That's a mass infection.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Yeah. Ryan Coogler directing that. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I think he does tension really well, and he does like building
the
things.
trailer for the second trailer. It is seriously intense.
Yeah. And vampires are fun.
Yeah.
Like when they're not sparkling. They're a lot of fun.
No, let's not go the Twilight route.
Like
okay.
30 Days of Night vampires. Super interesting to watch.
John Carpenter's Vampires.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I really like that one. And it's tongue in cheek, but it's supposed to be because it's John Carpenter.
Right, yeah.
But even like from the get-go of that film where they're all like suiting up, and I was like, they're going to kick Buffy the Vampire Slayer's butt. And the story goes along, and there's parts of it that are hokey and campy, but it's still way better than any of those stupid Twilight movies. I hate those. I really do.
So bad.
But sadly, I've seen every one of them too.
Me too.
I'm sorry.
It was a painful time in my life. Luckily, I'm married to a much better person now who would never subject me to those things.
Yeah, Hannah said, what do we subject Hannah to? That's the...
Actually, you know what, though? She really liked Companion.
She did?
She did. She was like, I thought it was great. I would watch that again. So she really enjoyed it.
I told Jessica, I said, you really missed a good one.
Yeah, I think, Jessica, if you're... Lord help you, if you're still listening, you should see Companion. I think you'd like it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it was good.
All right.
I think that's it.
I think that's an episode.
Yes,
I think
sir.
that's a full-fledged real podcast. Good for us. I'll shake your hand, sir. Fantastic work.
Yes.
All right. And fantastic work to all of you for making it all the way here to the end.
And thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you so much. And remember, you can always vote good, bad, great, or terrible on Spotify. We'll have a poll going on there. And you can also just tell us on Facebook or Instagram. Grand Review Pod is our username. You can find us there. Let us know what you thought about that week's movie.
Yeah.
Share the podcast with someone you love if you like it. Share it with someone you hate if you don't.
Oh, we skipped our internet movie of the week this week.
Oh my goodness, we did. You know what? That's fine. We'll save it for next week because I had to
Okay.
fix my car today and didn't get to watch it.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's good though, right?
Yes, it
All
is.
right. Well, that is a little sizzle for
You'll
next
love
week. Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, then that means there's only one thing left to do, and that is to say, we'll
We'll see you at the movies.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.